Alrighty, welcome back. In this week's Motivation Monday, if you ask anybody what their biggest blessing is this holiday season, and I've done this and I've seen it to be true, it's their family. It's the relationships with the people that they love. Here to give us some motivation about expressing how thankful we are to them is Matthew P. Hoffman. He joins us again, a Greenville relationship coach and podcaster. We're so happy to have you back here.
Nice to be here. Love being with you guys.
Totally. And we're talking about why it's important to obviously be thankful, but expressing that. Why is that important?
Well, you know, everybody struggles with doubt and fear and anxiety, and if you really have a grateful heart and focus on expressing the gratitude, you can't be afraid or anxiety and grateful at the same time. So gratitude and thankfulness is kind of the antidote to those other things that might want to come in and roost in your thought.
And it's easy to be thankful up here, but it's hard to actually verbalize it. Why does it maybe feel a little awkward to do it, and how can I get past that wall?
You know, you got to just practice. Everybody, starting in your head, your thoughts is a great place to start, but speaking it and saying it out loud is critical. And it makes such a difference that you do that. You know, it's like the best thing you can give to your partner or your spouse. It's like life-giving oxygen. And you express gratitude and thankfulness for them and what they do for you.
And what are some small ways we can start that? Maybe, you know, writing a poem is a good start. That maybe is a bit ambitious, but some writing things down actually helps.
Well, writing is great. You know what? Everybody thinks about speaking and talking, but the written word is so powerful. When you get a letter or a note or a card from somebody and you hear their voice, but you're reading it in your own time, in your own space, one of the things I used to do if I was traveling or even if I was in town is I'd write letters to my wife so she'd get them in the mailbox. She usually got the mail, so she'd get a note from me even though I was right there. And she could open up and read it in her own time and get the words of affirmation and thankfulness.
And let's talk about one of the most important relationships, spouses, your partner. I mean, you're doing life with these people. Why is it extra important to make sure they feel seen, they feel known, things like that? Well,
you know, I've never heard anybody say they feel they get too much gratitude in their relationship. And when you have a culture of gratitude and thankfulness and you're speaking those words of affirmation, it really fills up the relationship. When you're taking somebody for granted and not choosing to verbalize it or put it down in the written word, contempt can creep in. And contempt for your spouse is like the worst thing you want creeping around in any relationship.
Very true. In which case, the handwritten notes, those are going to go a lot longer than maybe just like, hey, you look beautiful today. While those are good things to say, it's creating those lasting memories with someone that important to you. And, you know, writing cards is good and developing that strong personal practice of thankfulness and gratitude. But this is something we should be doing every day. How can I even extend that to maybe my professional life?
Well, I think, you know, it all depends on where you're coming from. And if you have an attitude of gratitude, if you're looking for the good and speaking it, that's your viewpoint. You know, you might find something that's wrong in the office. Somebody's doing, oh, there they go again. You know, they're doing this and it really irks me. I kind of say, let's look at the 80-20 rule. If 80% of the time your partner or your worker is doing something right, then you got to let it go. And you got to focus on what's right instead of dwelling on the negative and making that the reality.
That's so true. And it's going to make the workday go quicker and get you out of there, and you can really, you know, count to 10 and have that moment, which we all need sometimes.
Sure thing.
Well, great information, Matthew, and these can all be found in some of your books here. You've got them with us, and now you said this wasn't a self-proclaimed title, but given to you.
My wife gave me that title, and I told you I have to earn it every single day.
Right, and let's talk a little bit about what's in this book.
So it's short chapters of things that you can start doing right now to level up in your #1 human relationship. It's good for husbands, good for wives, and if you need some help or some ideas, that's why we're here.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Matthew Hoffman, we thank you so much for being here. And for anyone else who wants to learn about the great information he gave us today to help your relationships, both personal and professional, check out his social media, and it's on the screen now.